In this video, we're going to be configuring a static IP address on a Panelview Plus 1000. So first we'll navigate to the terminal settings, down to networks and communications, network connections, network adapters, and here we have the built-in Ethernet controller. Down at the bottom here, we have our IP address settings, so we'll click on IP address, and you can see right now it's set up to use DHCP. That's indicated here. The yes is toggled on right there. So right now it's going to auto assign an IP address, and you can see the IP address right there. It's grayed out as 169.254.33.234. And it's using a subnet mask of 255.255.0.0. So the subnet mask here is telling us that these first two numbers of the devices that we're going to be talking to need to match. So our PLC down here, it has a IP address of 169.254.11.2. So that a .11.2 at the end of the IP address does not need to match, but the first two numbers do, and they do in this case. The way that this is being signed right now, because in our network we have our PLC, our Panelview, and then you can see on our switch here our computer is connected. So those are the three nodes that we have in our network. There's no DHCP server, so the way that the devices, they automatically assign themselves a subnet mask of 255.255.0.0, and the start of the IP address is always 169.254. These IP addresses and subnet masks are reserved for this case when there's no DHCP server in the network. So it'll always default to those settings. So let's change this. We're gonna say no, and we're gonna manually input an IP address, a static IP address of 169.254. So we're still using the same first two numbers, but we're going to change, and our last two numbers are going to be 20.2. So the 2 is going to match the 2 on our PLC, so the PLC is 11.2, and the Panelview is going to be 20.2. So this IP address will never change. It'll always be this. Whenever the Panelview fires up, it'll always use this same IP address. We also need to set our subnet we'll set to the same subnet mask that we were using. Click OK. You'll see it's giving us this warning that the changes won't occur until we reset the Panelview. We'll click OK. We're going to close all this. We're not going to quite reset this. Remember, it says it's not going to change the settings until we reset the Panelview. We'll just look over here at the computer. So right now you can see in RS links, we have our PLC showing up and our Panelview. So the IP address is still the same, but once we reset the Panelview, it's going to change to the static IP address that we set it to. So I'll click reset on the Panelview, click yes, and we'll have to wait for it to reset. So in the meantime, just to talk a little bit more about that assignment when there's no DHCP server, looking up right on the Microsoft's website, it says right here, the Internet Assigned Numbers Authority has reserved 169.254.0.0 to 255.255 for automatic private IP addressing. So whenever our device fires up and there's no DHCP server, then it will use those IP addresses. It'll randomly pick one, and that's what all of our devices are doing right now in the network, unless they have a static IP address. So now our Panelview has a static IP address, and our PLC also has a static IP address. The only device now in our network that does not is the laptop. So let's go ahead and refresh refresh RS links and see if our panel view shows up. So this IP address should now change. So you can see it already found it, and the old one's appearing, and there's an X saying, hey, this does not, you can't find this in the network anymore. So if we go down, select it, and just click delete on the keyboard, it's going to give us a prompt. Are you sure you want to remove this? Yes, we want to remove it because it no longer exists. So click enter, and then it's gone. So now we've assigned a static IP address right here to the panel view that will never change. So this is beneficial if this static IP address assignment is used quite frequently in industry. Because if this IP address is changing, then we might not be able to find our device. It could have a new IP address when it's powered down and powered back up, if we had a power bump or anything like that. We want in any control system, it's good to use static IP addresses for this purpose.